Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Sunday, November 12th. Going out here shortly. It's 4:45. Doesn't get light enough to hunt anyways till 6. So I thought today I'd kind of throw together a video. I didn't do one yesterday. But while I was sitting on watch yesterday, a lot of things kind of went through my head. And one of the biggest things is, sometimes it's not helpful monetary, financial, but sometimes moral support. So stay tuned. So hopefully you can hear me over the furnace down here at the shop. Like I say, it's right around 29 degrees out. And on the weekends, we kind of let the fire go out and let the propane take over. And I drop the temperature in the shop to 55 degrees for over the weekend when we're not here. And then when I get back here, I bring it up to 62, 64. But normally within an hour and a half, our wood furnace is up and running, and it's running out beautiful good wood heat, and I don't hear that furnace run at all day long and most of the night. And usually during the week when I get in here, the fire is still going, so I can just throw some more stuff in it and keep it going. So what am I talking about today? Moral support. Well, I was sitting there thinking yesterday that one thing that is kind of like the forgotten man, and by the way, thank you to all you veterans, out there that are watching, is that, most people get so wrapped up in their own stuff that they sometimes don't realize that other people are going through the same thing. And they try to hide it from everybody, that that they're maybe not doing as well as they did the year before at the shop, or that their income is less disposable income now than there was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So what happens when people's disposable income goes down? You got it. They stop looking outside to have repairs done. They try to limp it along. They try whatever they can just because they simply can't afford it. And it goes back to that wants and needs list that we talked about here a week ago or so. That sometimes you have to look at what are your wants and what are your needs. And for most of us, we have to cover our needs first, right? Food, shelter, housing, and some people are having problems with just trying to cover what their needs are. So when this happens, the tendency is credit card debt starts going up. Why? Because people are still trying to just pay the bills and they're going backwards. Sometimes you really have to take a hard look at things. Maybe it's you can't afford that fancy new truck and you need to get rid of it and downsize to a more affordable truck. Maybe it's you don't need that fancy apartment and you can find something for less that will still suit your needs. But when you've exhausted everything and you're still not making it, I just want you to know that you're not alone, because there's a lot of people out there that are in the same boat. And for you shop owners, that sit there and think that, the majority of shops out there are making big money. They aren't. Now, if your clientele is multimillionaires or well-to-do people, then maybe you haven't been hit as bad as the guys that are trying to do just the average everyday man's equipment. But we've noticed a slowdown, and not only a slowdown on the small engine repair side, but also on the farm tractor side. And we're sitting there kind of scratching our heads of, well, how do we get more income, how more work into the shop? What are the different ideas? And sometimes, no matter what your idea is, it's not going to work. You're just going to have to weather out the storm. And my fear is right now is a lot of you guys are not going to be able to weather out the storm, because either you're just starting into the business, or are carrying a heavy debt load with the business. And now you're in a situation of, what do I do? Right? But the main theme of the video is that you're not alone. Most of us shop owners are dealing with the same thing, trying to figure out, why are we not getting to work? How do we get more work? What next? For some of you, you're not going to make it at all. And this is going to be the year that, you've been screaming uncle now for a while, hoping things would get better, and they don't get better. And my heart goes out to you guys. And I know a lot of the older shops that were unwilling to change, that are still trying to do the same thing, are also in the same situation. But hopefully for them, they aren't carrying a lot of debt in their business, because they've been doing it for so many years. Is it going to get better? I don't think so. I think we're still going to see another whole year anyways of the same thing that we've been seeing the past year and the past 2 years. And that is when people have less disposable. And what does less disposable income mean? I guess I should explain. Disposable income is what you have left over after all your needs are met, and then you can buy luxury items per se, or pay for the repairs to be done on your truck or car or what have you. Because a lot of times that doesn't fall into the needs category, because you need food, water, shelter. Those are your needs. Disposable income is what is left over. And most people are trying to live the way they have for the past 3 or 4 years. And what they're doing is they're compensating with their credit cards, covering bills, and paying for groceries and stuff like that, versus looking at ways to cut their budget. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but my gut says a lot of you guys out there are struggling. I know a lot of my customers are struggling. We're only getting, I would say, just above enough just to keep the doors open. And remember, I have 0 debt. I have employees' costs and, certified public accountants' costs and so forth, but those are the things that each shop owner has to look at. Are you going to succeed the way you're going right now? Or if you continue the direction that you're going, how long can you keep it up? It's okay to say, Eric, I'm struggling. Eric, we're not making the money that we used to make. Because you're not alone. I mean, I look around at all the businesses that are, and I'm seeing it right now. The only ones that aren't going to be hurt that bad are like grocery stores, because people need food, right? The only thing I'm thankful for is that all of our beef we raise on the farm. And we put in the garden, so we have a lot of fresh vegetables. And for many of you, you may can your vegetables and stuff from the garden. So you've even got more of a stock, or you've got a cold cellar type where you can put vegetables, onions, potatoes, and that cold storage. Some place to keep it from freezing, but keeping it at a cool temperature all the time. And that's how I grew up. My grandparents. My grandmother canned everything, and what wasn't canned, we had a root cellar in our basement, and down there in the root cellar, that's where all the potatoes went, the onion sets went, and garlic, what have you, was all stored down there. And that saved us a lot of money, my grandparents a lot of money in grocery bills. I grew up on canned corn, canned beans, canned everything. Canned beef, canned venison. But I want to know what you guys think. What's the answer? For you shops that are doing well, what are you doing that is helping you out? Maybe you could share with the rest of us. What forms of advertising are you doing to let people know you even exist? See, that's one of the things that I'm looking at right now that I haven't tried, and that is through USPS. I think I mentioned it in another video. For like 13, 14 cents per postcard that you can have made up at Vistaprint, they will send it to every box holder in that one zip code. Or in my case, I'm looking at 3 zip codes because we're kind of spread out here. And I'm looking at close to 2,500 postal boxes within a 10-mile radius. So the cost of that would be 13 cents times 2,500, okay? But it doesn't stop there, because you have to have Vistaprint do the postcard. And that's going to charge you probably another 8 to 10 cents per postcard. So now let's just round it to 25 cents per postcard. And that comes out to $625 in cost to send a postcard out to everybody, reminding them that you're here if they need your service. Now, I've spent twice that amount on just simple couple radio ads a week. But it's still $625, and there's no guarantee that I'll get anybody, because I have not gotten anybody by using newspaper, television, or radio. And I did some Facebook ads early on, and at the time I was trying to do those, we were more internet based than we were looking for shop work. So it was a different budget and a different clientele that I was looking for. I was looking for the guy that's out there fixing their own machine, looking for parts online. So that's the ones I went after. But now I need to look at the people in the local area that are in need of having something fixed, and trying to figure out a way to connect them with us. Now, a couple other things that I've been toying with, and I've done this in the past for certain customers, but now offering it to all my customers, is like 3 easy payments, to cover the repair bills. But what I can tell you is I haven't had a lot of luck, because I don't like chasing people. I'm lucky in a way that a lot of my customers, want to get you paid. But when you start offering a payment plan, now you're not only running a shop, but now you're a bill collector. And, we always talk about here in the shop, good cop, bad cop. And Claude is the bad cop. Claude doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't want to hear excuses. He doesn't want to hear nothing. Either pay up or going to repo your machine like we want their machine. And I really don't want to go that route because I am, I feel for all my customers. If one of my customers is on hard times, I'm going to try to give him the leg up, even at the cost of our shop, And as business owners, we can't do that, right? We have to make sure that our needs are met first before we can help other people out. But I'm also a person that believes that if it was meant to be, it'll be. And that means, if we succeed and continue to run the shop, then it was meant to be. If for whatever reason I decide that this is going to be our last year, and that's the way it's got to be, then it was meant to be. Right? That's why I continually stress for you guys that are just getting into the business to do it as debt-free as possible, because if you do have to close the doors, you're not stuck with a lot of debt. I mean, can you file bankruptcy and start over? Yeah. But I normally wouldn't recommend that. If you're at a point where you're in over your head and there's no way out, and filing bankruptcy will stop all that for a short time. But the problem I have with that is that's like putting a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage, on a large cut. The Band-Aid's just not going to cut it. The reason you got yourself into that large amount of debt was how you had done business. And if you got a clean slate, what's going to keep you from doing the same thing over again? And a lot of folks would say, well, I've learned from my mistakes and I'm going to do it differently. Well, that's great. But the majority will try going down the same route, the same path, thinking they're going to get different results. And you may be able to get away with it with a good economy. But if the economy tanks like it is right now, it's not going to pass the mustard. You're just not going to make it. Simple as that. You, as a business owner, have to think outside the box, become very creative, and look at other ways to supplement your income to your business during this lull. Get into other product lines. One thing I'm just kind of causing me to scratch my head is that during hard times, people still seem to be able to find out how to finance that brand new snowmobile, four-wheeler, side-by-side, what have you. Are they doing it as often as what they used to with these businesses? No, but they're still out there buying these toys. And they're still playing on them on the weekends. So if you're just strictly doing lawn and garden and you can step up to possibly working on UTVs, ATVs, and that, snowmobiles. That might help your business. But the biggest thing as a shop, as an employee and a shop owner, is knowing the limitations of your employees, and as a mechanic, knowing the limitations that you have as a mechanic. Now, we've talked about how you can, increase that. And that is by having the desire and the willingness to learn how to do that kind of stuff. And it may be specialized tools that the shop needs to bring in before you can be able to do that. People think, well, a motor's a motor, and it's not. And I've said this is a young man's game, that a lot of stuff is you need to be tech savvy, and a lot of these guys are doing it using their phones. My son, he's got an iPad that he carries around that he can plug in, and he can roll windows down on trucks and change this, change that. But he plugs it into the main computer using Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and he does all the stuff, looks at everything on his laptop. And that may be something that you guys need to look at. So if you're on the verge of having to close your doors, here's some different options that you can look at, to tide you over until we start seeing some better times. And you guys out there that, have already started doing stuff like this, what are you doing to supplement the income for the shop when the time gets low, when you're not getting as much work? And what are you doing about it? Put it in the comments. The last thing I want to see is to lose one more shop. But I think this year and next year we're going to see even more of the older shops shut down and more people retire. On that note, you guys have a great Sunday. Of course, we'll see you here first thing Monday morning. It's time for me to go get into my deer stand, and hopefully I've been seeing some bucks, but nothing worth taking yet. But looks like they're starting to run a little bit. So we'll see you here tomorrow morning. Thanks so much for watching.